if there's any one thing that anybody can take away from this is
My favorite Tony Robbins quote: move in the direction of the result you want before you see the result you want. I'm going to say that one more time. Move in the direction of the result you want before you can see the result that you want. I'll give you a stat. So 98% of 80-year-olds, 98% of 80-year-olds have a, I guess, what's the word? A stack, let's do that, of
stack.
regrets. All
Yeah.
the things they didn't do,
Stack regrets.
become,
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
and all the things that they wish they were, wish they could have been, you know?
Yeah.
Um, 98%. Can you imagine when we talk about success? That's a lot, right? That's more or less everyone.
That's everyone.
So the question becomes, what is the difference between that 98% and the 2% who did?
Yeah.
And I would go as far as saying it's this, that most people stay comfortable living a life that they loathe. Very few people get uncomfortable to design a life that they love. Now, designing a life that
Powerful.
you love, it means going way out of your comfort zone, identifying what the comfort zone is and stepping out of it. So that's what I would say in terms of success, that the successful people do. They learn to, if you're outside your comfort zone, there's all this fear and all these other emotions, right? And the successful, they learn to treat everything that comes with being outside of the comfort zone like a dance, to really enjoy and thrive in the uncertainty of being outside of the comfort zone. And why is that?
Yeah.
Because trying your very best to stay comfortable is the easiest way to be uncomfortable. Said differently,
Mm-hmm.
being uncomfortable is the quickest way to navigate to comfortable. So I think that's the distinction between the successful and the ones that aspire for success one day.
They do something else different, and that's how they maintain their status. But you explained it perfectly. The awareness of not allowing yourself to feel comfortable all the time. Do the uncomfortable. That's powerful. Mo, welcome to my show.
Alex, thank you so much for the invitation. Let's get it.
You know, I've always wished to be in the midst or very close to one of Tony Robbins events. And I'm so happy to be talking to you today because you've been that close to Tony Robbins. And my audience and everyone else are going to be learning a lot from you about the lessons you've learned from Tony Robbins' team. I know you are also an online marketing expert, life coach, and an international keynote speaker. I can't wait to hear from you, and my audience are going to enjoy this conversation. But before we start, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us who you are?
Alex, absolutely, absolutely. And you're absolutely right. I did work for Tony Robbins for quite a number of years. However, in terms of my story, the turning point in my story came from seeing a sign. And before we get to the sign, I'll give this some context. So I'm from a family where the definition of success is academic success, and specifically getting medical degrees. That's the
Mm-hmm.
definition of success. So I did that.
Yeah.
I got 3 degrees and I started my career in the medical and the healthcare field. I bought a nice house in a nice neighborhood and I got a nice car. The challenge was my nice 6-figure salary meant I was working not very nice 16-hour days. At the end of every year, I'd always feel, apparently successful, but my year was just this blur of 16-hour shifts. I had no experiences, no free time, no me time, which brings me nicely to the sign. So one day, I'm in a bookstore in central London and I see a sign, and that sign says, How to be successful. that How to Be Successful sign, it was an ad for a book called The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. It was a book about personal development. So I read every single book listed in the back of The Success Principles.
Mhm.
Now, the fork in the road I had was, do I go all in with this actual success that I've just discovered? Or do I stay on my pathway of apparent success that I already had? Remember the 3 degrees and all that great stuff. And of course, if you can up level your options, you can up level your skills. So I did that. I invested thousands of hours and many tens of thousands of dollars learning from the best in the world. I traveled to the USA, to Canada, to Asia, and certainly all over Europe, learning from the best in the world. And from the best in the world, I gained expertise in 4 areas: online business, sales and marketing, public speaking, and personal development. And the question that was always guiding me was, what is actual success? I even went to work for Tony Robbins, as you mentioned, as a senior mentor. And whilst I was working for Tony Robbins, I did tens of millions of dollars of sales. I worked for Tony Robbins as a senior mentor, and we did high ticket consultative selling as well. One of the highlights of my career at Tony Robbins was I did $1 million of sales in 90 days.
Wow.
Now, because I'd upleveled my skill set and upleveled my mindset, I had the opportunity to add tons of value for tons of high achievers as a mentor and as a coach. I realized that apparent success is when someone else decides what success means for you.
Mm.
Whereas actual success includes fulfillment and the freedoms to design your ideal lifestyle the way that you want it. So today I teach my clients that between online business, growing and scaling your online business, and high performance and personal development coaching, you can design your actual success, the lifestyle that you wish to design, the exact way that you want it.
Yeah, that's a powerful experience, and I can only imagine how many lessons did you learn from the first book to the second book to the third book to the fourth book to the fifth book. I can keep going and going. And through all that, you gain experience in, you said, public speaking, online marketing, personal development, and there was a fourth one. I'm amazing that
Sales and marketing. It wasn't
sales and
just in the
marketing.
books because I traveled everywhere. I went to Malaysia. I went to
Yeah,
Barcelona. I traveled everywhere. I've given talks
yeah,
in Spanish. I've given talks in French. I've given talks in English.
yeah,
I've just traveled everywhere. Like, even where we met is part of my ethos of who is the
yeah.
best in the world. Okay, there I'm going to go there.
Hmm.
We're both being mentored in terms of branding,
Yeah,
for example. So at that time, after I read the book, can you imagine? I've been told my whole life success equals degrees, and I did
yeah,
3 of them. So I'm the most successful person in the world, right?
yeah,
Only to see a sign that says how to be successful, and it opened up this brand new world that I knew nothing about. And then the back of that book with all the different examples, and there were so many different
yeah,
books, opened up
yeah.
this whole brand new world. And
Hmm.
then to make it real, I traveled to, I remember when I did my public speaking training, and I was taught, I would say, I'm so lucky, by one of the best in the world when it comes to public speaking. And I remember I went to him and I told him that I'm going to be one of your best is students, mentees, if that's the word.
Yeah,
Uh, so there you go.
yeah. I can maybe quantify this or frame it as this. You have this global cultural experience as you travel from country to country, delivering these speeches or mentoring other people. And I think what you're getting to is fulfillment. Degree, at one point, people want academics, degree. They want the best job. They want the next thing. But you are saying there's more to that than just the degree. And is it fair to say it's fulfillment that the most successful people are seeking?
So just a quick note on degrees. I think my main point there was from my background or for my family or for what I
Yeah,
knew, I
yeah,
was taught that success equals not degrees. Success equals science degrees, not science degrees, medical degrees. So that was the catchment of what success is. And,
yeah,
you know, for everyone else, it's different. You know, for some people, success equals something else. And my challenge is that is it current success where someone else has prescribed what your success is for you?
yeah,
Or is it actual success, which is success that includes the fulfillment that you want using
yeah,
your own skill sets and the pathway that you want? And of course, that pathway doesn't have to include degrees, right? It's just a case
yeah,
of
yeah,
does actual success include what you actually want for yourself via your definition for what success is?
yeah. That's perfect clarification there. And one thing I want to probe on, people can have what they want, or they can have a plan of what they want to achieve. But the most successful people, they succeed. And then after that, they do something else to succeed again. But there's most people that stay stuck in one area, and they are not doing the things that some of the successful people do. Can you maybe share a moment where, or maybe an example or your experience on how the successful people continue to be successful?
How successful people continue to be successful.
Yeah.
I think I think what I would say to that is 98, I'll give you a stat. So 98% of 80-year-olds, 98% of 80-year-olds have a, I guess, what's the word? A stack, let's do that, of
Stack.
regrets. All
Yeah.
the things they didn't do,
Stack regrets.
become,
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
and all the things that they wish they were, wish they could have been, you know?
Yeah.
Um, 98%. Can you imagine when we talk about success? That's a lot, right? That's more or less everyone.
That's everyone.
So the question becomes, what is the difference between that 98% and the 2% who did?
Yeah.
And I would go as far as saying it's this, that most people stay comfortable living a life that they loathe. Very few people get uncomfortable to design a life that they love. Now, designing a life that you
Powerful.
love, it means going way out of your comfort zone, identifying what the comfort zone is and stepping out of it. So that's what I would say in terms of success that the successful people do. They learn to, you know, if you're outside your comfort zone, there's all this fear and all these other emotions, right? And the successful, they learn to treat everything that comes with being outside of the comfort zone like a dance, you know, to really enjoy and thrive in the uncertainty of being outside of the comfort zone. And why is that?
Yeah.
Because trying your very best to stay comfortable is the easiest way to be uncomfortable. Said differently,
Mm-hmm.
being uncomfortable is the quickest way to navigate to comfortable. So I think that's the distinction between the successful and the ones that aspire for success one day.
Yeah. I think I agree with you 100% because I'm actually working on a framework, and I did not know this, that you can define success that way before we met today. But almost everyone, those 98% or the 2%, the 98%, they go through the same cycle, from comfort to complacency to burnout and to feeling stuck. And then that cycle repeats itself. The difference between the 98% and the 2%, what the 2% do is they don't allow themselves to stay in the comfort zone too long or in the complacency zone too long. So they do something else different. And that's how they maintain their status. But you explained it perfectly. The awareness of not allowing yourself to feel comfortable all the time. Do the uncomfortable. That's powerful. regarding online marketing. What is online marketing?
So online business means so many different things. There are so
Yeah,
many different factors, and the way that we teach it is that online business means taking something that you're skilled at and to serve someone else. So you have your own audience that you want to serve, or your own tribe, your own
yeah,
mission, and then you're serving people for that. So maybe they would learn from you. They would, you know, well, exactly that. Learn from you something that
yeah,
you have that they will need to take their journey that next step forward. So in terms of online business, that's the way that I do it on my end.
yeah. And you were able to help Tony Robinson's team to gain up to 1 million in revenue, right? That's what you told me earlier.
So in terms of the umbrella to that is we have a team, a sales team, and I was in the consultative sales team. I was just one of many. It was definitely not just me for sure.
Yeah,
So I was just one of many, and
one
there's
of
so many
many.
different factors and that go into it. So the story behind that is if you're in the sales team, what do you do? You sell. And what do you sell? The programs and the products and the coaching and the other, you know, artifacts, if you will, that help people to push forward. So I was in part of the consultative selling team. And then it just so happens that one of my goals, one of the years was, we had the whole leaderboard with people that had achieved this holy grail, if you will,
Yeah,
of doing $1 million in a quarter, in 90 days. So I set myself that target that if it's the last thing I do, I must get onto that leaderboard, even if it's just one time. I
yeah,
need to be on that leaderboard of $1 million in 90 days. That's the story behind it. And then essentially, in terms of over the span of time, I was there with Team Tony Robbins. I did tens of millions of dollars in sales. And it was just that particular 90 days I'm pretty proud of because not too many did it before.
yeah,
And at the time, there was just so few people on that leaderboard.
yeah. I think that's a very big achievement.
So we didn't do it as a team. You're an individual with your own goals.
Okay,
So you have your own goals, and it was in terms of my own, um, I guess,
goal.
achievement result for that 90 days. It was I generated $1 million of sales in that 90 days. And then also the other thing that's really important is it's not even about the $1 million because how do you get, it's that chicken and egg thing, right? How do you get to that stage of those sales, if you will, of those results? It's by service, serving other people for what they want and helping
Yeah,
them to push forward. So the one metric could be the $1 million, right? But an even better metric was how many lives did we impact? How many people did we serve? How many people did we help go from A to step B on the way to their pathway that they want? So I just wanted to preface that.
maybe through that experience, you might know this already. What's one common error people make when it comes to online business?
The two mistakes people make when they start an online business. So what I would say is this: when people go to start an online business, two mistakes that they make are number one is what product should I do? So, day number one, starting the online business, and what product should I do? And then when they come up with a product, they try and sell it to whoever's around them. That's number one. Mistake number two is randomly posting to social media, just randomly posting randomly without any kind of plan in place. And
Yeah,
what they could be doing instead is rather than and it makes sense, right? Because it's a business and you start your business when you have sales. So what product should I have first? It sounds like it makes sense. The backup, what they could be doing, should be doing instead is figuring out what audience should I serve. And
yeah,
then once they figure out what audience should they serve, is having not a minimum viable product, but a minimum viable audience, which is an audience of your true fans, a la Kevin Kelly, like so your audience of your true fans,
Mm-hmm.
not quite 1,000, but let's say 100, for example, depends on the industry, what your offer is. But having
Mm-hmm.
that minimum viable audience, and then serving that minimum viable audience deeply with what you do, and your minimum viable audience will tell you what service they require, what product they require. So that's the way I would say to do it instead. And then the second part about randomly posting to social media, we all love social
Yeah.
media, all great. It's rather than doing that, is if you're going to post a social media, make it strategic so that people go from social media to reaching out to you off of social media to take the next step. So I would say it like that.
That's a perfect response. Posting on social media and randomly having a product and thinking that it's for everyone versus a targeted audience. And I think there's some truth to that. The social media part, when it comes to sales, I agree. But when it comes to people, when they're working on something that is not yet fully baked and they want to overcome, they don't want to keep waiting until the product is ready, they can start posting, they can start sharing their expertise, like in terms of thought leadership, they can just do that because they're not trying to sell anything yet. So there's that aspect of posting on social media, which most people are scared of doing. And that's part of what holds some people back. Do you agree with that? Or does that make sense?
It does, it's the difference. One of my mentors, Jay Abraham, explains it this way. It's the difference between having a customer and having a client.
Yeah.
If you have a customer, then your question is, how can I fulfill this transaction? How can I make this sale today?
Yeah.
If you have a client, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, but if you have a client, it's a different question. It's how can I deeply serve this person in front of me
Yeah.
to such a level? It's beyond, a transaction, a one-off transaction. It's how can I serve them as deeply as I can? They're not
Yeah.
a customer, they're a client. And if you're just randomly coming up, PFA, pluck from thin air, that's PTA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plucking from thin air a random um, product that's not going to serve your client at the deepest level. Another mentor of mine says, find out what they want, go out and get it and go give it to them. If you have your minimum viable audience,
Mm-hmm.
or let's say it said differently, if you have your client, I said it as a singular term, and
Yeah.
you deeply understand them, then they will tell you what it is that they truly want, even if you start off with a kind of an idea of what they need.
Yeah. I like how you're saying minimal viable audience. In engineering, my background is in engineering, and that's what I still do now. And we have minimal viable product. I think in sales, maybe you might have the same in online marketing, I think you might have the same minimal viable product, right? But there is that connection between taking a product and how that product is used by these people. And that's the minimal viable audience. Like that connection, I think is a great connection that you are doing there. And then,
Right. The,
yeah, go ahead.
the minimum viable product is definitely something that's well known, to
Yeah,
kickstart, someone to get started. And it's just that question of how deeply do you want to serve the audience? Do you want a transaction or do you want a true fan? Do
yeah,
you want someone to make a purchase or do you want to effect a transformation for someone? So I think um, that's the difference on focusing on a minimum viable product first or focusing on a minimum viable audience as step number one.
yeah, yeah, I agree. You know, the way you explained to me when you saw your sign and you wanted to know to keep going after success, not the way other people define success for you, but the way you define it your own self. So can you tell me about this? What do you mean by be the best you can consistently?
So, so do the best you can consistently. So before that, in terms of the success, when people decide, you mentioned the signs, so I'm just going to address that really quickly, is that a lot of times we think we're successful, you know, nice house, nice home, nice job. We've done all the things that society, asked us to do, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the question becomes, are you successful or is this stressful?
Success, stressful.
Stressful means that you have success and
Yeah.
your success is on someone else's wall. Your ladder of success is on somebody else's wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're
Yeah.
kind of looking at the wall that's over there. That's the success that you want based on what you want. And that for you is your successful.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's looking at you thinking, you are so amazing. And by the way, you're so amazing.
Yeah.
But within, you're thinking, I don't feel successful, even though everyone tells me this is what success is. And the
Yeah.
reason is, I would speculate, is that maybe what you're experiencing is stressful. And then what you're looking for and seeking is successful.
Yeah.
Do the best you can consistently takes you on that hop, skip, and jump from stressful to successful. That's the premise and the idea behind it. And it speaks
Yeah.
to the fact that there's a difference between the expert and the aspiring to be an expert. Let's think positive. The expert and the person that aspires to be, and
Yeah.
the expert has different options. The expert
Mm-hmm.
can make a different impact in your world and in someone else's world. And of course the rewards that come back are so different. So do the best you can consistently. Do the best you can consistently. It makes the assumption that what you consistently put in is what you'll
Yeah.
eventually get out as the
Yeah.
expert.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the word. I think you've coined there. You've coined a new word, successful, and all the successful people probably are familiar with that. They're at a level of success and they still feel the stress. So I like that. And regarding the consistency, I also tell people don't just be consistent, be consistently intentional. Like by being intentional and consistent, you actually you get to where you need to go. Whether you define success on your own terms, but whatever goal you have set and you do it consistently and intentionally, you will get there. I like that a lot more. I'm sure this conversation, our audience are going to truly benefit today. Everybody wants to achieve something. Everybody wants a life that they haven't achieved yet, and they don't know how to start. So I know your voice today is going to touch many people. And talking about your minimal viable audience and designing something to serve that audience brings me brings me to this question. How do you define your personal brand and what problem does it solve exactly?
So I would define my personal brand as I'll use the word lifestyle design.
Mm-hmm.
And what I alluded to before of when you have apparent success, but there's an actual success that you want. And if we presuppose that actual success means I want to design my life this way, you know, actual success means I want to design my life this way to do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want, and with whomever I want. And then you get the opportunity to add in, we spoke just before the call about passions and languages. You get to serves a bit of a funny word. You get to elevate yourself, elevate your loved ones, and then whilst still designing the lifestyle that you want and still chasing your passions as well. Um, Harking back to successful versus successful,
Mm-hmm.
successful might mean you're the highest earning in the room, most smartest in the room, best job in the room, so to speak. And that's 90% of your world, even 99% of your world. And then you get to 80 years old. I've never been 80 years old, but you get to 80 years old and you look back, 98% look back, and they didn't achieve the things that they want. And at that point, they realize that the success they had isn't the success that they wanted. So my brand is all about finding out nice and early, what does
Yeah.
success mean for you? What does lifestyle design mean for you? And then actively in real time, pointing in the direction of the success that you want before you see evidence that the success you want can happen. And you're doing that in real time. So that's what my brand is all about. And doing the best you can consistently is a methodology. And that methodology points you in the direction of expertise and the impact you can create and the fulfillment that you can create ultimately so that you can design the lifestyle that you want in the way that you want it.
Yeah. That's powerful. A lifestyle design. How many people can think of when they wake up in the morning, how do I want to design my life today, tomorrow, and the days to come? And even when you reach that 98-year-old, like you mentioned, at 98, 98% of people in their 80s, I think you mentioned, right? 98% of people in their 80s have a stacked regret. So, and you are, I don't know if you answer this question yet, but the problem that you solve, you're basically helping them solve a problem that helps them to build the life that they want, to design a life that they want. Can you clarify on the problem part, how you use that, how you use your personal brand to solve that specific problem?
Right. So if they're able to improve their skill set and if they're able to improve their mindset, so they get to a level of expertise in either of those areas, their skill set or their mindset, all of
Yeah.
a sudden they get to avoid regret, which comes down the line. It's in real time as well, because it's that day to day,
Mm-hmm.
I'm really successful here, but it just doesn't feel right in real time. And then I will improve it tomorrow. And then all of a sudden, 5 years go by. Then all of a sudden, you're 80, 90, so to speak, all things being equal. And it's
Yeah.
that lifetime regret. So by improving your skill, I'll say it like this. Society hands you a pen. Society says, here you go. And what pen does society hand you? Society hands you a black pen, or society hands you a blue pen. And society
Yeah.
says, here you go. Go live the lifestyle that we've prescribed for you, says society.
Yeah.
And that lifestyle is one that's of conformity, of where you don't get to fly, so to speak, where you get to conform and you don't get to dream. You get to do what's been told to you and just fit in where you get in where you fit in.
Yeah.
Now, the flip side, and then certainly you live in this amazing, apparently successful life that is successful externally, but stressful internally. Now,
Yeah.
if you can do the best you can consistently to improve your skill set and improve your mindset, all of a sudden you can decide the pen that you use. Do I use a glitter pen? Do I use a red pen, a green pen? If you're right-brained, do I use a paintbrush or do I use a pencil? And all of a sudden, you can design the exact lifestyle that you want. Because why? Because you've increased your skill set, you've increased your mindset, and that way you can increase the impact you can bring in this world, and in other people's world, and the fulfillment you can bring to your world. So that's the sort of umbrella behind the impact of the do the best you can consistently methodology.
Yeah. And you are referring to the methodology, which is you have a framework actually that walks people through this to avoid this stressful life, basically, right?
Right. I have a whole framework that walks people through it, and it's a six-part framework, and
Mm-hmm.
of the 6 parts, there are two parts that are really important. One part is the participation, being on the field and really making sure that you're, you know, not talking a good game, but you're walking a good game. You're right there on the
Yeah.
field, sweating, so to speak, getting the results, so to speak. And that's the participation part of my framework. And then that really speaks to skill set. If you want to be an expert, skill set, you have to participate. And
Mhm.
that part of the framework addresses participation. And then the
Mhm.
second part of my 6 part, do the best you can consistently, methodology, speaks to preparation. Now, it begs the question, why is preparation second and participation first? Surely you prepare your mind first
Yeah.
and then you step in the arena. The answer
Yeah.
is it just is.
Yeah.
It just is. So preparation is the second in my methodology.
Mhm.
And you get to discover what is your preparation archetype? You
Mhm.
know, which type of preparer are you, so to speak?
Mhm.
And, so again, that's part of the framework that we do. I have a whole quiz that helps you figure out, which one that you are. So
Yeah.
yes, that's the methodology, part of the methodology.
Yeah. And participation starts, but preparation helps you meet opportunity right there, which you never know if it's coming yet, but because you're preparing, I think, yeah, that's a
Right.
powerful, yeah, that's a powerful framework. Yeah.
Participation says, how do I grow or scale my online business? How do I take my um $100,000 a year run rate online business to
Yeah.
$500,000 a year? How do I take my $500,000 a year online business and go beyond 7 figures if that's what you want to do? And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you get the recipe, the success recipe of here's how you do it. You do step one, you do step two, you do step 10. Now, that's all great, but that's only 20% of success. Knowing what to do is only 20%. A full 80% or 90% is actually the mindset. So the skill set piece it's so low because the mindset piece is what actually holds people back in terms of they know what to do, but they don't do
Yeah.
what they know because of
Yeah.
wanting to stay in the comfort zone and not being able to be prepared. So your
Mhm.
skill set, your mindset, preparation and participation, these two pillars, if you will, help you like really push forward for the results that you want.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm hearing, I'm trying to see it, but I'm hearing a lot of connection between online business and creating a lifestyle or creating a life or lifestyle design that you want. So can you tell me, how do you go from an online business to creating the life or the lifestyle design that you want?
So there are so many ways to create lifestyle design, and the way that I teach lifestyle design is via impact and fulfillment. And
Yeah.
impact in the way that I teach it means, what's one thing that holds a lot of people back from the life they want? Finances, money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the impact in this case is that you're chasing um, your mission, you're serving your tribe via your online business. And as you're adding value deeply to lots and lots of people in your tribe via your online business, all of a sudden it gives you certain freedoms in terms of what you can do because of the what's coming back from your online business, the revenues and the growth of your online business. So you're able to make your impact for your clients and then consequently make your own impact for yourself, your family, your loved ones, and the free time that you want back and the lifestyle that you want to design. That's the impact piece. Now, it's very possible to be super successful,
Yeah.
but not to be fulfilled.
Mm.
So the other piece is the fulfillment side, where you get the impact, get to be successful, but then the fulfillment says, I have everything I want. There's always another level, right? But I have everything I want. However, how can I now be fulfilled? And then the personal development side, the um, that side, the personal development side and the high performance side speaks to how can I now find fulfillment as well. And that marriage of impact and fulfillment, you can use those two to design your ideal lifestyle that you want. And that means different things to different people, and
Yeah.
that's great, whatever it means for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
provided that you're doing the one that you want to do. All of a sudden, you get to 80 years old, all things being equal, and you're in that
Mm-hmm.
2% that lived a successful life instead of the 98% that lived a stressful life.
Yeah. Everybody is going to be watching this and they will be saying, this guy is talking to me directly. You are also talking to me. So I think everybody will feel this. You mentioned mindset, and one person that talks about mindset a lot is Tony Robbins, right? You've been in his inner circle and you know exactly also his mindset. And I like Tony Robbins' mindset when even in the moment when he had nothing, he had a few dollars in his pocket, and he tells this story. He's sitting in a restaurant, and then he see a boy sitting next to his mother, and I think they don't have money to buy food. And he uses his last coin or last dollar, whatever that money is, to buy this family food. And he had nothing. And after that, something happened for him, and he got more and more. So I don't know what kind of mindset that when somebody has less and they can think of abundance in the future. Can you tell me about that kind of mindset and what you've learned through Tony Robbins to help you help others design the life they want?
So when I was part of Team Tony Robbins, I would divide my time at Team Tony Robbins into three parts.
Okay.
Part number one we discussed, which is sales.
Yeah.
Part number two was service, which is really serving people to help them get to the next level. And the third part is self-improvement. So someone listening to this, sales, service, and self-improvement were the ways I would divide my time as part of Team Tony Robbins. And the self-improvement piece, I literally attended every single event of Tony Robbins, uh, attended every single program, attended every single in-person seminar, not in-person seminar, not one time, not 10 times, like 50 times. I won't bore you too much with that piece, but I attended each one over and over and over again. And what's the
Mm-hmm.
reason? For self-improvement. And more specifically, it was if I'm going to be in front of someone as a mentor or as a coach, I need them to know that they're in front of someone who's done everything he can to be the best version of himself so he
Yeah.
can help you become the best version of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's how I would define the time that I was at Team Tony Robbins. So in closing, it's in terms of mindset, any result that you want starts with your mindset. Your results that you want starts with your mindset, and also continuously rinsing and repeating your mindset all the time so that you stay in front, because it's so important for the results that you want to get. And you know Tony Robbins has so many different quotes,
Yeah.
and in terms of his quotes, my favorite quote of Tony Robbins is never leave the sight of making a decision without taking action.
Yeah.
And I love that quote so much because it speaks to action taking, it
Yeah.
speaks to implementation, it speaks to momentum. And those are factors that will help you get to the result that you want long after the enthusiasm for the result has left you, so that action taking, implementation, and momentum. So again, that quote is never leave the sight of making a decision without taking action.
Yeah, I like that. I should get that and print it and mount it somewhere because every time people are thinking and thinking, they can go 10 years, they're thinking about the next thing, up to the 80 years that you mentioned, and that's when they start come back and regret, I should have done that. So that's a powerful quote. And Tony Robbins is good at coming up with those things. You mentioned about spending thousands, tens of thousands. And I know you are in one of the programs I'm also in. Tell me about spending all the money and spending all the time just to improve so that you can be the best you can be. Tell me about, do you see any regret in some cases where you've spent a lot?
I think the word I'd use, spending is a beautiful word, of course.
Yeah,
And the word I'd use is self-investment,
self-investment. Yeah.
because self-investment presupposes that there's a return on the investment, right?
Hmm.
So the phrase I'd use is self-investment. And is the question, do I have any regrets on spending
Yeah.
um, tens of thousands? The short answer is no, because I saw a sign that says how to be successful. And that sign was from a gentleman called Jack Canfield from his book called The Success Principles. That was the very first time I'd even heard of personal development when I read The Success Principles. I made it
Hmm.
through a bunch of degrees. You just do it. There's no do I do it, don't I do it, doubts, you just do it, right? And now if you're investing in yourself, self-investment, in my mindset, this is a shortcut because you're investing tens of thousands, perhaps. However, those tens of thousands, you're saving the most important commodity that we have, which is time. It could take you 30 years, 40 years to figure out incorrectly what you've spent. Again, I'll use that phrase, tens of thousands, to learn from someone who's managed to find success with it, and they're
Hmm.
teaching it to you minus all the trials and errors and iterations that they had to make. So if one wants to be successful, an incredible shortcut is to invest in yourself. And do I regret investing in myself? Absolutely not, because it helps me get to the shortcut of where I am today, which is my own mission of serving other people from going from here to here whilst enjoying the process. So I think one of the keys, if you really want to make that shortcut for the expertise that you desire, for the results that you desire, is for sure committing to self-investment.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe in self investment. It's the most important contribution to one's family, to oneself, to the business, to any organization. If you're not improving, that means you're choosing to stay stagnant and you're going to plateau. So there's a very big benefit, overall benefit to self-investment. And for you, I think this question I asked, but I knew the answer for you because you've coached 20,000 people, right? 20,000 people in your one-to-one consulting business. And you've helped over 8,000 plus business owners scale their business. So, and how did you do that? Is because of all the self-investment. So if anybody's listening to this and wondering, should I invest in myself in this? The only reason why you will say no is because that person, you are limiting yourself to that one idea about yourself by not thinking beyond the service to others. If I invest in myself and I can help 10,000 more people, the impact is great. So I think that's a powerful message from your journey there. And also you get to travel from country to country to country. So
Absolutely.
yeah. One thing that I want to make sure we discuss also is change. People are successful, and but They want to do the next thing, but they're scared. They have fear of something. How would you convince them to make the change, to go to the next level,
I definitely wouldn't convince them. I would nudge them to convince themselves.
to convince themselves?
And
Yeah.
it boils down to the fact that of the comfort zone. We touched on it earlier about the comfort zone, that most of the things that you seek are outside of the comfort zone. And that moment when you say, "Do you know, I'm gonna wait. I'm going to wait till I'm ready." That time doesn't happen. I'm going to wait till I've learned enough. That time doesn't happen. I'm going to wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't come. Tomorrow doesn't come until you get to a point of today, and you've found out you've wasted years, 5 years, a decade, couple of decades. So
Yeah.
it's sort of making it fun, like, and doing that dance of being outside of your comfort zone, and tolerating uncomfortable is the quickest way to navigate to comfortable. And I'll say that one more time.
Yeah.
Tolerating uncomfortable is the
Yeah.
quickest way to navigate to comfortable when it comes to the successes that you're trying to achieve on your terms. So that's what I would say to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I agree with that too. Is only when we feel uncomfortable, it means that we have outgrown our current level of excellence. So we must continue to experience the uncomfortable and go to the next level. And we keep doing that over
Right.
and over. Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
that's a powerful message.
I have a
Yeah.
question. I have a question for you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So what's that word when someone looks up to you? What's that word called? So you have people that look up to you.
Yeah.
What's that
Some
word?
yeah, what's the word that when people look up to you?
Uh-huh.
Dependable, is that the word that you're looking for?
So I guess like an idol or like a
Yeah.
uh
Like a go-to person, yeah.
like a
A
they let's
leader,
use that go-to person, the
a
idol.
leader, yeah.
So or even a leader, even better, leader, even better. So I forget where I read this. I read this somewhere. So even when you're going about your everyday business meaning your everyday, there's a minimum of 8 people that look up to you.
Eight,
This could
yeah.
be a minimum of 8. This could be so even this could be a family member, a child or one of your children. This could be a cousin. This could be that person that you purchase such and such from, like, I don't know, like candy or a bottle of water from in the morning on the way to work, so to speak. This could be my point being, it's like 8 random people that you might not even be aware of that as a minimum look up to you. So
Yeah.
in terms of stepping outside of your comfort zone, remember, it's not just for yourself, it's a bigger mission,
Yeah.
because the person that looks up to you is going to follow your lead.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that you're growing, sure, you might have your own mission and serve your own people, and then they get to follow your lead and you get to help them go from A to B. But the more that you're growing, the people that are looking up to you are also growing. Why is that? Because you're their reference point. You're at the frequency that they want to hear and understand and learn from. They look up to you. So the more that you're self-investing in yourself and
Yeah.
growing as a person, the more that those people who are looking up to you are growing as well.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that part as well.
I like that. And even in the moment when people are looking up to you, inside you might be feeling the successful, but still you have to overcome that and become successful. And even the people who are watching you in silence, they are seeing how you are progressing, and that helps them to get to the next level also. So more
Right.
one thing, yeah, go ahead before I switch
I was
topic.
just
Yeah.
going to say, right. And that's where, on your end, as the leader, so you have, people who come up to you on your end, are there doubts? Ask any entrepreneur, sure, right? But
Yeah,
that's why
yeah,
you have mentors and coaches and masterminds and
yeah,
reference points and peers who are at, above, or just below all that great stuff, your quote unquote level. I don't mean level in a derogatory sense, but I mean level in terms of like really extending your mindset and
yeah,
extending your thoughts about what's possible. So all of a sudden, you're ascending in your expertise, and that person that is looking up to you gets to grow as well, whether they're your client or not. I'm just
yeah.
talking in terms of you're that person that, wow, they look up to you, up to.
Hmm. The biggest thing that I feel like holds many people back is just getting the courage to starting. So tell me about starting an online business and an online marketing. What should people know?
So again, that's how I teach impact, having your online business, either starting from scratch your online business, growing your online business, or scaling your online business. So I have, three types of clients in that respect, where it's someone who they're doing something over there and they want to serve their own tribe with their own online business. So we give them the building blocks for that. The second type of person, if you will, maybe they want that quote unquote side hustle. They love their 9 to 5, if you will, and they want that six-figure second option whilst they still get to serve their do the job they want, and then they still get to serve their tribe. Then a third type, they have an online business and they just want to take it to the next level. Maybe they want to go, for example, multi six figures or beyond. That's their number one focus or similar. So the different types. And in terms of how to even get started, and I'm going to answer in a broader term than just online business,
Yeah.
in terms of how to even get started. And again, that trajectory of from apparent success to actual success, a
Hmm.
way to get started. Step number one, if you will, is to have clarity. You know, have clarity on what does this success look like for you. Having
Yeah.
clarity starts off with getting rid of limiting beliefs and all that great stuff. Getting rid of, well, here's what I've done in the past, therefore here's what I can do in the future. Throwing your blue pen and your black pen metaphorically out of the window, and
Yeah.
deciding what does success mean for me, and getting really clear on what that is. Um, so I have a whole lifestyle
Yeah.
design strategy session where we get really clear for you on what does that even mean for
Yeah.
you. What's your
Hmm.
picture of success? And every answer is fine. And I can also go into it right now if you want that clarity. But that's I would say step number one.
Yeah. Yeah. Go through that. Yeah. I think that will benefit the audience if you don't mind. Are you able to
Awesome.
go
So
through it now? Yeah.
I'll go through it right now.
Yeah.
So grab a pen and it's fine. I won't discriminate. It can be a black pen or a blue pen or any color pen that you choose. Grab a pen. So So let's talk about lifestyle design as the example. If we presuppose that life right now is apparent success, but you want actual success, step number one is to get clear. So with the pen that you've just grabbed, you would answer this question. And the question is, what do I want? You grab a timer, time yourself 1 minute, and just write. Doesn't matter about crossing the T's, dotting the I's, commas, exclamation marks, all that great stuff. Just write imperfectly, what do I want? And then secondly, write down, why do I want it? Time yourself 1 minute. What do I want? Time yourself 1 minute. Why do I want it? Right? Now, what do you have after a couple of minutes? You have more clarity than 80% of people have in terms of what do you want and why do you want it? Is it perfect? It's perfectly imperfect, right? It's not perfect. You can always refine it after, right? But you have an idea of what it is that you want and why is it that you want it, So just there, obviously you can go deeper with getting crystal clear. But the reason it's just you've written for 1 minute, what do I want? You've written for 1 minute, why do I want it? The reason you do that is because you can shrink it down to one sentence. I want, I want because, and the reason it's so important, it's one sentence, is because it's top of mind. As you're going about your day-to-day business, so to speak, you know, top of mind, in terms of my lifestyle design, I want this, and I want this because of. And because it's top of mind, your conscious mind gets to work on it. Your subconscious mind gets to work towards it as well, all the time. So that's step number one of getting really clear. And then once you get really clear, that's where I step in with helping you on your momentum and your mission and your mindset in the direction of the expertise that you seek.
Yeah, that's perfect coaching 101 there. Anybody watching that section, they're going to benefit. So you've worked with over 8,000 business owners, high revenue business owners, and you've coached over 20,000 people. What is one mindset block that you've seen that is common from all this?
A mindset block.
Mm-hmm.
I think a mindset block is not realizing how amazing you are already.
Yeah.
Think about this. If I'm coaching someone who's a high achiever, guess what they are? A high achiever.
Yes.
They're amazing at something else already. And sometimes we forget that because I'm just me, we say to ourselves. You know, you get to look in the mirror every day and you go, oh, I'm just me. But the one of the mindset blocks is just really forgetting how amazing you are already. You know, to you, you're ordinary. To
Yeah.
us, you're extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is that you can take, if your success is on that wall over there, and the success you want is on that wall over there, you're
Mm-hmm.
never starting from the beginning. Why? Because you're amazing already. So some of the things you're doing essentially is taking um, some of the competencies and some of the skill sets that you have, and then just polishing them a bit with a mentor, with a coach, and using them over there on the other wall. So you're starting from a platform of someone that is already amazing, but only we need to channel your amazingness in a different direction because you already have tons of competencies already and tons of skill set already. How do we know that? We know that from the awards you already have, the recognition you have, your status in your career that you've done, any academia that you have, any results that you have. So that's one thing that a lot of high achievers forget, don't realize how amazing that they are
Yeah. Yeah.
already. And I just want to add this part that's so important. If you're listening to this, I'm not excluding anyone from that definition of high achiever. And what I mean by that is this. Sometimes we look at things we've done and we go, I'm just a, fill in the blank. I'm just a this, I'm just a that. And I'm saying in whichever arena, if it's the arena of professional, or if it's the arena of at home, or a different arena in your life, you can bet your bottom dollar, if you will, that there's some area where you've shown, that you're amazing in this particular area. And I'm saying you can take the skill sets from that area and use it elsewhere. And a lot of times we miss that. The high achiever, the traditional high achiever, if you will, misses that because, again, to you, you're ordinary. To us, you are extraordinary.
Yeah. That's powerful message. And I like how a few times during this conversation, you try to accommodate for the different groups because sometimes people might feel siloed, but they might be needing that same feedback that you're giving them. So thanks for doing that. Um, I think everybody, one way to start is finding passion. And I think everybody has a passion. But sometimes for most people, it takes them longer to explore that passion. And even when you find your passion, you go to the next level. Finding your passion is great, but sustainable fulfillment is when it's no longer just a passion, but a mission driven by purpose. So tell me, what passion are you chasing right now?
I think so well in terms of passion,
Yeah,
I have a few, and I think it's so important to have passions in your life. It's not just about
yeah,
success,
yeah,
and because that equals success, right?
yeah,
But if you design the lifestyle that you want, all of a
yeah,
sudden that includes all the things that you want, all the things that your family want, all the things that your vocation wants, right? But the secret is there's another little dance that you get to do, which is the dance of the passion that you love. And whatever that passion that you have, I'm saying that true success means doing that. And
mhm,
in terms of myself, my passion is languages. J'adore les langues. I
yeah,
love languages. I speak a bunch of them. I taught myself as an adult a bunch of them. I grew up speaking one language. And
mhm,
as an adult, I learned a bunch of them and using the power of passion to go beyond fluency. So I'm not like fluency's here, and I'm, way above in
yeah.
the languages that I've learned. So
Let's count your
for me
languages.
specifically, it's
French,
languages.
French, Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, and then English. I think there's a fourth one, right?
So the languages that I've learned include. So I'm only
Yeah.
going to talk about the fluent ones. Um, uh, English, of course, mother tongue. I didn't learn that. I did learn that as a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
French, Spanish, Portuguese. Um, are languages that I've learned to beyond fluency and that I would say that are passions. And I think in terms of passions, the beauty of a passion is that it's not even about setting this whole goal of I need to be fluent if your passion is languages.
Yeah.
It's about doing this thing that lights you up.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you speak incorrectly, if your passion is languages, just doing it because you love it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just having that space to explore that side of you that you really love. And again, for me, it so happens to be the romance languages of French, Spanish, and Portuguese.
Yeah, that's good. I took some French in high school, and I remember we had to listen on the radio and then and then they pause the radio and then write what you listened. So that was quite a brutal experience. You have to pass that class to pass the curriculum. So I still remember some French, like the basics. I can say what my name is in French, or I can listen a bit, but I'm not as fluent. So I can see it's actually challenging to learn a new language. And you have learned all this. And the benefit is now you can connect with many people globally. You can go to many countries and still assimilate well and serve them to the best you can. So I think that's a powerful passion there that extends beyond just passion, but purpose.
Here's
Yeah,
how I would define chasing your passion.
yeah,
Chasing your passion is exchanging brutal for beauty because you get to do something that really lights you up, and it's another side of your spirit, your person, your being that just adds to what fulfillment is and what fulfillment means for you.
yeah. That's that's a great way to put it. Oh, this brings me to my next question. Do you have a personal brand symbol, and how do you use it every day in your life?
I hope I hope my personal brand symbol becomes your personal brand symbol. Listening to this, which is do the best you can consistently. That's my personal brand symbol. We were just talking about languages, and all of a sudden I have Spanish words in my brain because of that pattern interrupt. But that's my personal brand symbol. Do the best you can consistently, and it's one of those where you know one of my mentors would say, how you do anything is how you do everything. And my personal brand symbol is like, if you do the best you can consistently in every area, not just the area of your online business, if you will, or your fulfillment, if you will, but if one has that as the way that one uh, lives, if you will, if that's their symbol, all of a sudden everything elevates. So my personal brand symbol is do the best you can consistently.
Yeah, that's a powerful one. So if somebody sees anything related to consistency, taking actions the best you can, people will be thinking about you, basically.
I hope people will be thinking about themselves
Yes.
because I want you to do the best you can consistently for
Yeah.
you and for the 8 people that are watching you and for the dreams, goals, and aspirations that you have. And for the 80-year-old version of you that's like, oh, yes, we're doing it. We're doing it. We're getting into this 2%. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
Yeah. I like it. Don't just be intentional, be consistently intentional, the best you can. Okay. We're now ready to move into the rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right. Okay. Let's
Wait,
go to
just before that. So we spoke about passions. And
Mhm.
you just said, "Am I ready?" And you did a pattern interrupted languages, so I'm gonna prime you now. So in French, so if we want to say, "Are you ready?" and we're both going to go into this quick fire.
Yeah.
So one of us would say, "On y va," which is "Let's go," and the
Yeah.
other one would say, "Allons-y." So which one is easier for you to say, "On y va" or "Allons-y"?
Allons-y.
It's like,
Yeah.
"Are you ready? Let's go."
Can you
So
repeat the two?
do you prefer to say "On y va" or "Allons-y"?
Allons-y is easier for me.
Okay, so
Allons-y.
so so
Yeah.
so line it up again. Am I ready for the quick fire? And I'm going to say my piece, and then you'll say allons-y, and then we'll jump in. And it means,
Okay.
are you ready? Let's go.
Are you ready for the rapid fire question?
Felix, on y va?
Allons-y.
Allons-y. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. Biggest myth about leadership.
The biggest myth about leadership. I think the biggest myth about leadership is that it's all about you, the leader, where it's actually all about you uplifting those that you are leading.
Powerful. One book every business leader should read.
Um, Again, there are so many, but one that came to my mind is about money mindset, and it's called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. Secrets
Mhm.
of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker.
I'm going to have to look into that. Morning routine or a night owl?
Um, Je peux faire les deux. I can do all. Morning, I can do all. The morning routine or the evening, it doesn't matter to me. I think what I do is probably similar to a lot of others, which is have an actual morning routine where you do your affirmations and your writing, you're doing all this other stuff. And
Okay.
the outcome is to prime yourself to have a great day. I always say that if the outcome is to have a great life, how do you have a great life? You have a great life by having um, great months and have a great month by having great weeks, have great weeks by having a great day. How do you have a great day? You have a great day by having a great morning. And you can have that great morning by setting yourself up with that morning routine.
Yeah.
That is a question for people. I have no idea. What do people get wrong about me? I have
That's a
no idea, to be honest.
that's a perfect answer too. Yeah. Biggest myth about marketing that you like to debunk.
So I would go the route of our mutual mentors, Rory and AJ Vaden. So the biggest myth is that you need a bunch of followers. Um, and the way that it's been debunked via the law of AJ Vaden is that you don't need 1 million followers to get to $1 million, or you don't need 1 million followers to make $1 million.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. And AJ and Rory are perfect examples for those. Yeah. If you weren't in this industry, what will it be?
If I weren't in this industry, what would it be? Um, if I weren't in this industry, I would be in this industry.
No choice. There's no going back. You're determined. Yeah.
The outcome is this. That's such an amazing number. 98% of people who don't lead the life that they want, and I have different stats for that as well. Um, but it's just so many people out there who are, you know, in pain or seeking. And, if I weren't in this industry, I would be in this industry because my mission is to help those who want to help themselves get to the next level.
Yeah, I like it. This one is going to be tough, or maybe you have something. If leadership had a soundtrack, what would your theme song be?
If leadership had a soundtrack, the theme song would be Whitney Houston, and it's a song called The Greatest Love.
Mm,
And the reason is because most people, they don't believe that they are enough, and my message is that you are enough, as you are before learning other things or doing other things or changing other things, you're enough as you are. And so that song, the Greatest Love, speaks to the fact that you are enough. And once you can understand and believe that you're enough, this is such an amazing platform to now lead yourself and push forward with the things that you want to do.
yeah, that's the foundation of self-leadership, knowing your intrinsic value, that you are enough, and leading yourself into the next level to what you want to become. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I guess the best piece of advice I've received was from my grandmother when I was like 8 years old. And it was essentially um, eliminating negative, what are they called, limiting beliefs. It was just essentially, I paraphrase, but you can more or less go for anything that you want
Yeah,
based on what she said.
I like that. And I think many people can benefit from that advice too. We talked about the color of the pen, and I want to ask you, what would you choose, the black pen or the blue pen?
So if I have to choose a pen to write the story of my life, would I choose a black pen or would I choose a blue pen? I'd
Yeah.
actually choose this pen. Oh, can we see it? This pen right here.
Yep, I can see it.
Can we see it?
Yep.
That's the pen that I would choose. That's the pen that I actually use. Um, and the reason is because, you know, life is supposed to be beautiful, right? So, it's a red pen, it's a black pen, it's a blue pen, it's a um, green pen. That's the color pen that I would choose to write a story, or should I say that's the color pen I have chosen to write the story of my life.
Yeah, powerful. Fill in the blank. Fulfillment is,
So I'm sure you've heard this before, but fulfillment is when you fulfillment is when you have flexibility to design your ideal lifestyle the way that you want it.
yeah, that's perfect. And it's aligned with your core message throughout this conversation about lifestyle design and how you help people do that, right?
Right.
If someone is listening to this and they feel inspired and they want to know how they can work with you, what will you say?
So as you're listening to this, you're thinking, I must work with him immediately. Here's how you do that. So if you're someone that you, through this conversation, or maybe you had an inkling anyway, you are apparently successful and what you're looking for is actual success, let's jump on a call to get really clear on what actual success looks like for you. So I teach that you should do the best you can consistently, and that gets you to expertise. And expertise is in two different buckets. One is via the impact that you can create, one is via the fulfillment that you can create. And we'll get there via coaching, high performance coaching, personal development coaching, and online business consulting. If any of that sounds like it could resonate with you, and I'm sure it will, then go to mosalami.com/free call, mosalami.com/free call to schedule your lifestyle design strategy session. And you'll get a ton of value in the session. And we'll get to decide, we'll get really clear on what actual success means for you. And then if it's a fit, perhaps we can work together as well.
Yeah. And I'm lucky to have been in the same group as you. And I'm happy to have visibility to your social media. And I think people are going to benefit from that. Where can people find you? I know where to find you, but other people watching this are wondering, where can I find you?
Right. So go to mosalami.com. And then in terms of social media, go to at mosalami1 on Instagram.
Yeah. Also, they might be thinking of, I need one last advice before this guy goes away. What last advice would you want the audience to go with?
So you might need your pen for this, your black pen, your blue pen, your glitter pen, your paintbrush, your pencil, whichever one you chose, your multicolored pen,
Yeah.
whichever one you chose. And the last piece of advice I'd give is this. You can curate the lifestyle that you wish to create. And I'll
Yeah.
say that one more time. You can curate the lifestyle that you wish to create. Step number one, up-level your skill set. Step number two, up-level your mindset. Step number three, get really clear on what lifestyle design looks like for you. And that's the last piece of advice that I would give, or I would
Yeah.
suggest.
Yeah. More, there's one critical question that I know they also want an answer for. And that question has to do with balance. And I know some people don't like the word balance, and that can be confusing sometimes, like balance in life. You're talking about regret at 80 years old, and 98% of these people looking back, and they are regretting the choices they made. But I think there's some element of balance, or whatever that word is. Can you comment on that? And that will be a powerful message for our viewers.
So just to clarify, you mean balance in terms of like a
Balancing, there's a lot of things when it comes to creating the right level of success. There's an aspect about bringing greatness in every area of your life, but
got
we
it,
all know
got it.
there's challenge around this. So there has to be some level of balance. So can you just chime in on that?
Sure. So when you're designing your ideal lifestyle and when you're going from stressful to successful, the first port of call most people would say is have balance, right? In every single area of your life. And I would say that the best way to have balance is to embrace imbalance.
Oh,
So we
okay.
suppose that there's a period of your life that you're going to have to focus on one area to get it to a certain level, to then focus on another area to get it to another level, to focus on another area to get it to another level. So it's a case of if you imagine a telescope or binoculars or something, zoom in, zoom out, or a camera, there you go, zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. Lifestyle design means what are the different areas of my life that I want to get to a certain level. Embracing imbalance means for me to get all of those areas to a certain level, I need to zoom in on certain areas for now and have that imbalance in that area for a season, knowing that in
Okay.
another area I'll have that imbalance for a season. And you're doing all this for a reason because you want to get to that stage of way before 80 years old, but in real time, as you're going through the ages not in terms of how old you are, but in terms of progression, you can see in real time your lifestyle design unfolding in front of you. So there are certain things you have to let go of. You
Yeah.
have to let go of perfection. You know, you mentioned about, when I was working at Tony Robbins, and one of the questions I had there for a long time was, what is the definition of perfection? And the answer that I came up with, there's a whole process we do, and the answer that I came up with by myself is that perfection is when a child of God is doing something imperfectly. I'm not trying to get religious, but what I am saying is that if perfection equals a task being done imperfectly, similarly, balance equals embracing imbalance in the pursuit of a bigger journey of the lifestyle design that you
Yeah.
want. And if you want clarity on what that is, then we can schedule a lifestyle design strategy session. Go to mosalami.com/free call.
Yeah. More, that's a very perfect answer. And if I can emphasize what you just said is it's not about achieving balance. There's many things you can do. And if you want to do something to the best level you can, zoom in on that thing and do it to the best level you can and consistently. And then you can still zoom out again. So zoom in, zoom out on those different areas. And you are calling that imbalance. But actually what you are doing in that area, you are refocusing and focusing. You are refocusing and focusing. And that's what balances things out. Maybe I'm just using the word balance, but that's basically you have to be intentional and laser focused on that one thing before you can be trying to balance things and not having the best outcome from it.
Or having
So,
an imperfect outcome.
yeah, yeah,
Because the idea is that momentum
hmm,
forward all the time, and
yeah,
do the best you can consistently means your your 40% today or your 20% effort today might be your 100% based on other factors, maybe, based on other factors. So do the best you can means do the best you can on a consistent basis, and whatever that level means, provided you're doing the best you can, changes every single time. And
yeah,
the gain is that you're winning. We're not saying wait till you're 80 or wait till you're 60 or wait till you're 40 or wait till you're 30 or 20 or whatever. We're not saying all that. We're saying that your gain is today because you're having the successful day, not
hmm,
the stressful day.
yeah,
So you're winning today. And also long term, you've designed the lifestyle that you want, and you will get you will get the exact lifestyle you want, or more than or less than, whatever that means.
hmm,
More important than all of that is you went for it. You went for the goal that you want. And for sure, you'll discover that you thought you wanted to learn French, but you wound up loving Spanish. By the way, both amazing languages, by the way.
yeah,
But my point is, it's like, it's all about getting clarity on what lifestyle design looks like for you. Do the best you can consistently towards the different buckets that make up what lifestyle design means for you.
Yeah.
And then realizing that the journey involves imperfection, perfect imperfection, and also a balanced imbalance on that journey whilst you're winning every day because you're fulfilled every day as well.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need to be perfect. You need to perfect your uniqueness. And this is a book by Dr. Mansoor Asib. The book title is Bring Inner Greatness Out, Personal Brand. So I like that quote from that book. Yeah. So Mo, it's been nice talking to you. If there's any one thing that anybody can take away from this is
My favorite Tony Robbins quote. And the number one thing I'd want, let's say you took one thing, your pen that you picked is running out of ink and there's only a tiny bit left, and you're like, what's the one thing I can take? If you only take one thing from everything that has happened on this call today, it will be this: move in the direction of the result you want before you see the result you want. I'm going to say that one more time. Move in the direction of the result you want before you can see the result that you want.
yeah, you only get moving when you begin to pedal. If you don't pedal, you're not moving forward. Yeah, so it's been very good talking to you. I liked a new word you coined, successful. And there's a few other ones that you coined, I think, but I forgot. But you talked about successful, and how to close the gap between success and successful. I like that. Your experience with online marketing, where your experience with working with Tony Robbins, and the mindset that you've shared, your experience about your own journey from starting a journey of trying to understand what success is, and what sign made you move into the direction of what you wanted, reading all those many books, becoming an international public speaker, and then also becoming an online marketing expert, and also investing in yourself, in your personal development, so you can be able to serve over 20,000 people and over 8,000 high revenue businesses. This is a lot of accomplishment, and you haven't stopped. We are in the same group together outside of work, and I see it, the way you are working on your business aspects, and I'm empowered by it. And like you mentioned, what do you call that word about when somebody look up to you every day? And you told me almost every day about 8 people will look up to you. I think that's a powerful statistics that reminds us that whatever we are doing is not only for us, but for those 8 people watching. And those 8 will turn into millions of people in the future. So thank you very much, Mo, for all that you've done in this podcast and the benefit that the audience will be seeing once they listen to this.
Felix, thank you so much for the invitation, and it's been awesome for sure.